Hey guys, Jacob here. This is going to be another Division 2 build video. This is going to be covering the M60 build I decided to throw together. This build is not 100% perfect yet due to the fact that this is just an experimental build, and I want to show you guys just how kind of crazy it was, because personally, I was a big fan of LMGs in the first game, but no one really used them due to the fact that they weren't that great. The Hungry Hog was pretty good at the beginning of the game, and the one that stood out the most at the end was the MG5 and the Big Hyandro. The MG5 was the highest rate of fire weapon. That was the LMG that everybody used with Lone Star and put accurate on it. But now, since they got a buff in this game, I actually think I'll probably be using them a lot more. And without further ado, I'll get right into the build so you guys can see. First, I am using the M60 standard model. This is the original. This is not the E4. This is the big heavy version. The P416 as my secondary, and I am using the M9 as my sidearm. First, I'll get into the weapon. This is the classic M60. You can see it has 20k damage, 600 RPM, and 100 in the mag, and 15% damage to targets out of cover. Next is Frenzy. Reloading from empty grants 35% weapon damage and 35% rate of fire for 7 seconds. And you need 4 or less shield requirements to get this. You can see I have 4, not less. It's exactly 4, so I can have this unlocked. And then I have Allegro for 10% rate of fire, which I think is really awesome for the M60 due to the fact that you can make it have a higher RPM. Stop, drop, and roll. While equipped, rolling removes burning, bleed, poison stat effects. Can occur once every 60 seconds. So the reason why I'm using some of these talents are, for example, Allegro was at the 10% rate of fire, and Frenzy gets 35% rate of fire right there. So you're getting 45% rate of fire plus Allegro when you reload, and you're getting 35% weapon damage on top of the 20k weapon damage you already have now. So I'll get into the attachments while I'm using those as well. I'm using the Reflex Sight, and it does give you 10% crit damage and negative 15% accuracy. Another scope you can use is the micro red dot sight that gives you a little bit more accuracy. I'm kind of switching back and forth between these two and testing them. Another one for PvE, if you are PvE players, you could use the C79 damage to elite scope. But this does decrease your rate of fire, or this doesn't decrease your rate of fire, but does decrease your reload speed, so you'll be reloading a lot slower. Next is the angled grip. This is for the plus 15% stability and negative 8% accuracy, so you can hold on to your weapon a little bit easier and be able to fight people no problem, since LMGs are a tiny bit jumpy due to the fact that some talents can make them jumpy, like Unhinged. And the Nimble Link Belt is 10% rate of fire and negative 20% stability. So this is pretty much why I'm using the angled grip, due to the fact that I'm getting negative 20% stability as is. So you're also getting the 10% rate of fire from this and Allegro, and the 35% rate of fire bonus for 7 seconds with Frenzy. So you can see why I'm using this for the RPM, and this thing absolutely rips through NPCs and people. I haven't used it that much in the DZ. I used it, I think, once or twice in the Occupied this week, and I used it a few times in Conflict. So there will be some future gameplay at the not at the moment, but there will be some later on, due to the fact that when I go in the Occupied DZs, everyone tends to sit at the checkpoint, and I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to see that. But next, I'll get into the secondary I'm using. This is the custom P416 with 12.1k damage, 787 RPM, and 60 round magazine. This has measured. The top half of the magazine has 15% rate of fire and negative 20% weapon damage. The bottom half of the magazine has negative 25% rate of fire and plus 20% weapon damage. It has Allegro, same as the M60 for the 10% rate of fire, and stop, drop, and roll, same as the M60. So with this measured, you're actually going to get the 15% rate of fire and Allegro mixed together, so you can increase your DPS a little bit more. The attachments I'm just using at the moment are PvE attachments, due to the fact that when I was in the DZ, I was clearing landmarks with this weapon and using the LMG mostly for players. But if you want to flip this out for a PvP weapon, all you have to do is change this to a Reflex Sight, and then change the barrel to the Omega 556 suppressor. So once that's done, you have your PvP rifle right here, and also have the short grip for 10% crit damage and negative 50% reload speed, and also the light extended mag with 30 plus rounds and negative 10% rate of fire. If you don't have more rate of fire, just get rid of this guy right here and throw on something like the tactical mag, and you get 863 RPM. So you can have that right there. Next is the sidearm. I'm using the Officer's M9A1 with breadbasket. Landing body shots add a stack of 5% headshot damage to the next headshot for 10 seconds. Max stack is 10. Allegro and with Cali, while holstered, you are able to resist 5, and Sarah 10s can occur once every 60 seconds. So I'm not a big person on sidearms. My favorite at the moment is the Liberty, but you can see this is a lower score, or just the Desert Eagle in general. But I cannot get my hands on this. Another thing, I'm not sure if they removed it or it was just thrown in the trailer to mix, was I think it was a Glock 17 was thrown in there somewhere, but I have not seen that in the game at all. So I'm not sure what the deal with that is. I'd love to use it, but I don't think it's going to even be in the game unless it's just a DLC item or something like that. Okay, now the brand pieces I'm using is the Petrov Defense, the Providence 511, and the Arrow Holdings. So let me tell you guys this now. This build is not 100% accurate like I'd want it to be. Originally, I was going to use a Petrov Defense chest piece, but for some reason, I cannot get my hands on one. I think I had one, and I accidentally sold it like an idiot, so it's gone. But first, the reason why I'm using the Field Protective Mask, which is the Petrov Defense, or my bad, the Providence Defense, is for the 10% damage to elites, cooldown reduction in the skill power, health, and weapon damage. So you're going to get skill power, health, and weapon damage for these, so that's 5%. And I'm using Compactive, which gives you the 20% skill duration, and there's no mods in this mask. You guys can see here, it's just a dye mod. Next is the chest piece, which is the Providence Defense for the crit hit damage, the crit chance, and the 6% weapon damage, and harden for the 10% extra armor. I'm also using the defense protocol mods. You guys can see there what the stats are, and the utility system mods with the stat as well. I'm not sure why those are on there. I think those were just thrown on there due to the fact that I had them and I threw them on there. And the defense is mostly just to get to the 4 or less, so you can have a little bit of armor and also still have the talent unlocked. Now, the piece which kind of sucks that I didn't really want to use is the Petrov Defense Group holster for the crit chance, the health on kill, and the cooldown reduction. Just the one piece alone gives you 10% LMG damage. Originally, what I wanted to do was get a Petrov Defense chest piece that had LMG damage, so I could throw it on there and also have a pretty awesome talent that I could mix with the LMG and use it as well. But sadly, RNG, I guess, doesn't really like me anymore, so they're not going to give me a new one, so I'm stuck using that. Next is the Arrow Holdings backpack, which you can flip this if you have something better. By all means, if you do, flip it right away. I suggest you do, and you guys can have a little better backpack. But this gives me 7% weapon damage and 10% crit damage with 10% accuracy, so it's not that bad. But accuracy, I think, at the moment is kind of broken, supposedly, so just keep that in mind. I don't know if that's true, but I try not to rely on accuracy. I just try to rely on how stable my gun is and try to hit most of my shots. Now, Safeguard is on here. Killing a target grants 150% bonus to repairing and healing effects for 20 seconds. You can see that is not going to be unlocked due to the fact that I have 10 instead of 5, so that one is locked. Destructive, which isn't bad, 20% explosive damage if you're using a Seeker, or I guess using, you know, explosive stuff like that. Then you have your offensive system mod, which gives me 1.5% weapon damage, 4% weapon handling, and 0.5% crit range. Now, the gloves. Devastating is a pretty awesome talent that I was happy to get on these gloves. That's the only reason why I'm using them, due to the fact that they have that talent. And it has pistol damage and health. I wish it had something like LMG damage, which for some reason also I cannot get any gloves that have LMG damage on them. I'm not sure if you can get them. At least I think you can, but for some reason my luck is pretty bad and I cannot get LMG damage on any gloves that I have found. So Devastating gives you that 5% extra weapon damage. So you can put that on your weapon as well. That goes for all weapons. That goes for the P416, the pistol, and the LMG. Next is the knee pads, which have a 10% skill power bonus from Empowered, 5,000 health, and has an offensive protocol critical mod that gives you 2% weapon damage, assault rifle critical hit damage, and SMG critical hit damage. I think I have a better mod that I could flip, but due to the fact that I could, flip it, I am using an SMG. Or I'm not using an SMG, I'm using an assault rifle, so I kind of just left it on there and used to get the 2% weapon damage. But if you have something better that has like LMG on it, I suggest you use that instead. Okay, now for the gun itself, I will show you guys what it does on the range before I show you guys the character sheet. Just to get this out of the way. You can see the damage last hit and the DPS. This is without reloading. Okay, and this is with Frenzy activated. Okay, so you can see, the difference in the change of the DPS and the damage last hit. You guys can see it there with the headshot damage. So you're getting around, you know, that headshot was 47k, which is pretty, you know, insane. But just in general, when you're shooting enemies, you're getting close to 28k damage. You can see damage last hit on the headshot there is 47. But your average, you're hitting around, you know, 28k to the body when you guys have the talent active, and when you're not, you're still hitting at the standard damage. But now I'll get to the character sheet and show you guys the stats on this. You can see here, he's all the weapon talents. And the gear talents, you can see weapon damage is 20,000, critical hit chance is 12%, and crit damage is 58%. Headshot damage is 65% as well. Range is 40. Reload time is 5.8 seconds, which is, you know, kind of sucks. But this is an LMG after all. You're getting negative accuracy and stability, and weapon handling, and you can see here all weapon damage bonus, and also the 10% LMG damage bonus you're going to receive. And here are all the defense: 171,000, 119 armor, 40,000, 141 max health, health on kill, 20,000 health regeneration, and you can see there's no hazard protection, so you're getting 0 on those. And you can see the skill power right here for Seekers, Hives, and Pulse and stuff like that. Okay, that's going to be about it, guys. There's nothing really else I want to explain, but the one last thing I will show you guys, because you're probably going to ask, are these skills I'm using. So the skills I'm using is the Seeker Mine. It's the standard Seeker Mine. I'm just using this at the moment because I like the standard Seeker Mine. And the next thing I'm using is the Chem Launcher with the Reinforcer. So if you're in combat, you can shoot this at the ground or at teammates and heal yourself and get your skills back up. Okay, that's going to be about it, guys, for the build. One last thing I will tell you guys to do is make sure you use the Demolitionist class, due to the fact that you can actually get a bonus from the Demolitionist, so you guys can get the damage out of cover, and you guys can upgrade your damage with LMGs in the skill tree. Thank you guys all for watching. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Devil's Cry, huh? Let's see what that sounds like! Don't you dare say it! Jackpot!